So I'm going to open the meeting of the Oakland Mills Community Association for May 11th, 2021. So welcome everyone to the meeting. And the first order of business is to call for the election of the board chair. So I would open the floor to nominations.
Oh, I nominate Jonathan.
I second.
I 15th it. I know people are in front of me. Yes, most definitely.
Any other nominations? Okay, is there any discussion? No discussion. Okay, I'd like to call for a vote. Please raise your hands. I can see everyone here. All in favor of having Jonathan Edelson serve as the chair of the board?
Do I vote? Is that weird?
No, you can.
I never know.
2, 3. We have 4, Amy. No abstain. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? So my glory days are over. I now turn the meeting over to Jonathan.
No, you haven't asked if I accept the nomination.
Did anyone say you had a choice? Do you
Right.
accept?
Yes.
Okay. Congratulations.
Actually, you
This
don't
is
turn
like-
it over. You also call for the, according to the agenda, you call for
Okay.
the vice chair and then we
Okay,
resume
so
normal.
I would like to open the floor to vote on the vice chairman nominations.
Bill
I will,
McCormick.
I'll second that.
Okay, is there any discussion? Call for a vote. All in favor of Bill McCormick as the vice chair? 4. All opposed? Any abstentions? Pending his joining us at this meeting or the next meeting he's at, we will ask him if he accepts the nomination. Okay, now I'm really done.
All right. I guess this is where you hand the gavel back to me, the virtual gavel.
Mhm.
All right, so we will resume our regular order of business. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first meeting of the Oakland Mills Community Association's fiscal 22 board year. Thank you, everyone. Congratulations to everyone who is rejoining the board, and congratulations to Warren, who is joining the board for the first time. So welcome, Warren.
Thank you.
Everyone else here, we're all old friends. We were here before, but Warren is our newest member, so welcome aboard. We're going to start by calling for a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's board meeting. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Okay, Rena makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Warren seconds. Is there any discussion on tonight's agenda? All right, all in favor of approving? Okay, I see 4 and there's no one else, so it's 4-0-0. Okay, next, the previous board obviously met on April 27th, and we do have minutes from that board meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the April 27th board meeting?
I move.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
Okay, I think I got Rena first on the second. Any discussion of those minutes? All right, all in favor? It's 4-0-0. All right, we're moving right through. Okay, next we have resident remarks. Any resident wishing to make remarks gets 3 minutes to speak to the board. If any residents are wishing to make remarks tonight, please turn on your video and raise your hand or use the hand raise feature in Zoom, and I'll call you in the order I see you. All right, it doesn't look like we have any resident remarks. So we will move right on to new business, and we're going to hear from, well, I guess not the co-chairs, a chair, one of the Bobs, a Bob, who is the co-chair of the OMCA Election Monitor Committee. So Bob, go ahead and take it away and give us the report on the election, please.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm glad to announce that we had an election and we survived it. We had actually 626 verified ballots
Wow.
from residents and 96 from the Columbia Association for the properties they own. And the 626 ballots broke down to, I have the numbers nearby, 165 for Rashida George and 461 votes for Virginia Thomas. And Virginia also got the 96 votes from the Columbia Association. So congratulations, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you.
I also want to acknowledge and thank the committee that we put together. Actually, Sandy put together. And that means Mr. and Mrs. Burlett, Mr. and Mrs. Hollywood, Mr. and Mrs. Rosenberg, Mr. and Mrs. Gottsagen, and Barb Hazel, and my wife and me.
And also Carol Brain and Kathy Latham.
Sorry. Carol Brain, sorry, you're right. And I want to thank all the people who took the time out to run for this election. And mostly, really, I want to thank Sandy and her staff. Since we were doing a lot of the work ourselves, the committee was doing the work ourselves this year with the collecting and the verifying and the opening and the counting. A lot of that is done by the staff in previous years. And this year it all fell upon the committee folks. And we were all very impressed with how much work that was done before we got to the ballots in the previous years. So hats off to Sandy and her staff. And that's all. Any questions?
Yeah, I just want to add that we did have a bylaw amendment, and as of election day, and I have a stack that I have not counted since then, but 393 people supported the bylaw amendment and 45 did not support it. So that passed, and that would mean basically that next year there will be no requirement for a nomination petition where you would have to get signatures. You would just need to have a candidate, I forget the name, like form that you send, you fill in stating what you want to run for. So we'll be changing our bylaws to reflect that. And then lastly, there are a few villages that did electronic voting, and in particular, I'm going to talk to Wild Lake because they closely align with how we've done things to see how they conducted the electronic voting, what worked, what didn't work, and hopefully put a report together to suggest it to the board if they feel in Wild Lake and the other villages that used it that it was a successful way to get more votes and to have less paper ballots, to get that on the board agenda sometime in October. So by the time we're ready to really get our elections going for next year, the board hopefully will have read that and can decide on electronic voting going forward. So that's what I wanted to add. And I also want to thank Bob and Bob because really they're the ones who had to open and validate 626 ballots. So that's a lot of work, and it's 100 pages of property listings. So it takes time. And so they did it all. So they really owe, a debt of gratitude from us. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you to Bob and the entire committee, and to Sandy, because you had to do a lot of work and a lot of running around and getting ballots to people whose mail didn't get delivered on time, and
Yes, I did.
taking calls and answering questions and responding to emails and responding to Facebook comments and all kinds of stuff to make sure it went smoothly. So it's all greatly appreciated. You're the I think you're year after year the unsung heroes of OMCA because outside of the meeting where we nominate you and then thank you, your names don't get mentioned. You don't show up on video except tonight. You're not in the room with us most of the time, but we wouldn't be here if you didn't do your job. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Jeannie, do you have a hand raised?
Yeah, I'd also like to express my thanks because I believe the election committee and the staff spent weekends, maybe a couple of weekends on this. So it was a lot of time, dedication that the staff and the village board staff and the election committee put in. And I just want to express my thanks too. It's a lot of work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before we move on to a vote to certify the results, hello, Bill. Bill, you were nominated and unanimously voted to be the vice chair this year. Do you accept that nomination?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. All right, now we can resume the normal order of business. Okay, so we have had the election results report. Actually, Sandy, I have an administrative question. Since we have the final count for the CCR, but we don't have the final count for the bylaws, should we only approve the CCR
Well-
portion of the election and table the bylaws until you have a final count for us?
Well, it was the majority, so.
Yeah, I mean,
it
it has, if it's 395-4, we know
Yeah,
it
I
has
mean,
to
if
have
by
passed. 'Cause
majority
it's-
it passed.
Okay, yeah, because if there were 626 ballots cast.
Yeah,
Okay, so it had to have passed. Okay, then never mind. All right, then I'm going to go ahead and motion that we accept the validated results of the OMCA 2021 election.
I second.
Okay, is there any discussion? All right, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 0. All right, on to the whole list of stuff we have to do. This is primarily an administrative meeting to get people in positions. So the first thing we need to do is we need to see if there is a nomination for someone to serve as the chair of our architecture committee. Yes, Bill.
I nominate Lynn Engelke.
Okay, are there any other nominations? Okay, I will second the nomination of Lynn Engelke. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor of Lynn Engelke as architecture chair? 1, 2,
I'll follow
3,
what
4,
you did.
5, 0, 0.
If you didn't, Lynn, I was going to say, come on, vote for yourself, please.
Okay, the next thing we need to do is appoint members to the architecture committee. Normally, all members of the board also serve as members of the architecture committee. The difference is that when we meet as the architecture committee to consider an architecture matter, at least a residential architecture matter, Lynn becomes the chair because that is her committee, even though it's the same group of people meeting as a different body. So I'm just going to go ahead and nominate Warren Wortman, Lynn Engelke, Rena Ross, Bill McCormack, Rebecca Bryant, and myself to the OMCA Architecture Committee.
I second.
Okay, is there any discussion? All right, all in favor? All right, 5, 0, 0 again. Okay, the next thing we need to do is we need to send 4 board member names forward to the Columbia Association for CA's approval to sit on the OMCA Architecture Committee as Columbia Association's appointed members. And if anyone needs to understand what that means, this is my 8th year and I would still need to turn to Sandy to explain what that means. But basically this year, we know any of us can do it because everyone is either in compliance or does not own a property that has to be in compliance. So really, we just need 4 volunteers.
So can you tell me what this is as the newbie?
It's really, you don't do anything other than Columbia Association by legal documents has to approve the majority of our architecture committee to serve. I guess because we're tied to them with covenants and everything, so we always just send 4 names. At a CA board meeting, they will approve those names and that's it. It doesn't, that's all it means. There's nothing you have to do other than we only will send names of people whose properties are compliant, board members whose properties are compliant.
Okay.
So you don't have to meet or anything.
No,
I want to do that.
But I don't know if, well, Rena's a board member and a member of the AC.
She's a member of the AC.
So Rena, we'll put your name down.
Mhm.
Watch, they'll change it this year. And you'll be having
Yeah.
to-
Yes.
I see Lynn's hand.
Yeah, I'll volunteer.
I see Bill's, and you can put my name down. Or
Okay.
Warren, you want it? You can put Warren's name down.
Sure. If
Okay.
I don't have to do anything, I'll
No,
volunteer.
it's a
right.
good committee to be on.
All right, so I will nominate Rena, Lynn, Bill, and Warren to be Columbia Association's appointed members to the Oakland Mills Community Association Architecture Committee.
I second.
All right, is there any further discussion of that? Please say no. All right, all in favor? 5-0-0. And I actually, before we move on to that, just because I know, Rena, you're fairly new, Warren, you're new, just to explain the relationship, you know, Oakland Mills Village has its own covenants, and we're responsible for covenant compliance and enforcement when covenants are out of compliance. Where CA comes in is, you know, unfortunately, there are circumstances where we cannot, we basically work with a resident or a property owner to the end of our process. The property is still not in compliance, and then we basically petition CA to make that a legal matter. So CA needs to be assured that they have, you know, a majority of the board, you know, appointed kind of to represent them as we send things forward to them, should it come to that. So it's, you know, it doesn't happen often, but it happens. But we still do it as a full architecture committee. It doesn't add any extra responsibility to the four of you. Okay, while we're in architecture, this isn't right. I just realized the agenda has a couple of mistakes. It says, the agenda says appoint 2019 to 2020
okay.
Residential Architecture Committee. The agenda should read appoint 2021 to 2022 Resident Architecture
Can
Committee.
tell which thing I copied it.
So, so with that correction, 2021 to 2022, Sandy, the village manager, has recommended Michael Vaughn, Jerome Rollerson, David Smith, and Kay Wisniewski to continue on the Residential Architecture Committee.
I vote to approve, or I motion to approve all of them.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion of the RAC membership? All right, Sandy, one question before I call the vote. It lists Mike Vaughn as chair, but the RAC determines its own chair, right? Do we make him the chair tonight, or do they make their own?
No, right?
Okay.
Lynn? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine not having Mike be the
Yeah.
chair.
But I'm trying to clarify, is that our decision or is that the RAC's decision when they meet?
I don't remember the RAC ever voting on it at our first meeting after the election.
we can make it their decision and try to remember to have it happen.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. All right, all in favor of the recommended RAC membership as submitted by the village manager? Okay, 5-0-0. All right, next we have the Non-Resident Architecture Advisory Committee, also known as the NRAC. The village manager has recommended that we retain the current NRAC members, and they are Jervis Dorton, Phil Engelke, Dave Smith, and Valerie Smith. Is there a motion to approve that list of NRAC nominees?
I move to approve.
Okay,
Yeah,
is
I
there a second?
I second.
Lynn seconds. Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor? All right, 5-0-0. Should I be worried because I saw Dave Smith in the Zoom earlier, and now that he's been nominated for something, he's gone.
No,
Okay,
he's always at our meetings.
Yeah.
yes. Okay, now, oh, he's back.
And he's back. He missed it. Can tell him what he missed.
Mr. Smith, you missed your nomination and your confirmation. No, he's going
I
to stay quiet.
actually heard it before I got bumped off.
Oh,
I-
I got bumped off. Okay.
It asked me if I wanted to update and I recklessly said yes. And it immediately shut me down and started over again.
Well,
So I
congratulations.
Well,
apologize.
yeah, congratulations. It was a very close vote, but you made it by 5-0-0.
Well, I appreciate the trust that the board has put in me, and I'll do my best not to let you down.
Very good.
Thank
We know-
you.
Okay, now this gives me great pleasure because we technically have to appoint or reappoint our village manager per our bylaws, Article 6, officers, Section 4.02. Each year we have to elect one person who need not be a member of the association to serve as manager of the association. The manager is also ex officio secretary and treasurer of the association, and does a whole lot of other stuff that you can read for yourself in the agenda. So I will take great pleasure in nominating Sandy Cedarbaum to serve once again as our village manager.
I second.
Okay, I think Bill beat Warren by Warren.
Ah.
It's your first one. I mean, you need to have like a trigger finger.
Sorry.
All right, is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor? All right, 5-0-0. Congratulations, Sandy.
Thank you. How do you know I accept?
Well, because if you didn't, then I assume the Zoom account would immediately get disconnected and we wouldn't be meeting. Since you run the Zoom account.
Or either like the locust, Sandy, you gotta go underground for 17 years.
For 17 years.
Okay, now Oakland Mills has several standing committees. They include education, housing, safety and security, public space advisory, and open space advisory. Last year, we did have chairs for all but the safety and security committees. So I'm going to run through them and see if we have nominees to chair each of these committees. Please note that our advisory committees do not need to be chaired by members of the board. It can be residents who've expressed interest. And we can and do have residents serve as chairs or co-chairs in the past. So give that some thought as we work through them. So the first one I'll go to is the Education Committee. Is there a nominee or a suggested nominee for the Education Committee chair?
Yes, Jonathan, I nominate you to chair the Education Committee.
I second.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for the Education Committee chair? Okay, all in favor? 5-0-0 again. Thank you. Oh, I accept. All right, next up is our Housing Committee. Do we have a nomination for the Housing Committee chair?
I nominate Bill.
I second. All right, are there any other nominees to chair the Housing Committee? Okay, all in favor? 5-0-0. Congratulations, Bill, if you accept.
Thank you, and I accept. Thank you.
All right, Safety and Safety and Security Committee Liaison and Chair. Do we have a nominee for the Safety and Security Committee Liaison and Chair? But by liaison, that means being a liaison to, for example, police, fire, emergency services, also working with Sandy as she works with the safety and security folks in the village center and throughout the village.
Can I nominate someone?
Sure,
I'd like to nominate Rena.
I will second that.
Nice.
Yeah, okay.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
You're interested?
Thank
Good.
you.
All
Thank
right.
you. Yes, yes.
All right.
This one will have meetings.
All right.
That's okay.
Are there any other nominees for Safety and Security Chair? All right, all in favor? 5-0-0. Congratulations, Rena, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
We're
you.
back in
Thank you,
operation.
all of you.
Yeah, good.
Okay, next we have the Public Space Advisory Committee Chair. Public Space Advisory basically deals with, well, you're not supposed to use the word in its definition, but public space. So non-CA public space. So basically Howard County space plus a little bit of state space, if you consider that, 108 runs alongside the village and 175 runs through it. So do we have a nominee to chair the Public Space Advisory Committee?
I nominate Warren.
And I'll second that. All right. Are there any other nominations for Public Space Advisory? Okay, all in favor of Warren? 500. Warren, I'm assuming you accept that?
I accept. Thank you.
All right, congratulations. Okay, next up is the Open Space Advisory Committee. Open Space deals with CA open space. So think about the pathways and the greenways that CA maintains, but basically all the CA land that's available to, everyone. So, not the indoor spaces, not the spaces that require admission, but tot lots, paths, green space, things like that run by and maintained by CA. So do we have a nomination for the Open Space Advisory Committee? Well, I would like to nominate Bill McCormack and Gary Whitty to serve as co-chairs once again.
Oh, I second that.
All right. Are there any other nominees for the open space? Okay, all in favor? 500. Bill, I'm assuming you accept. And it's funny, I went by Gary the other day, but I didn't want to scare the heck out of him by shouting out the window as he was walking by. But have you talked to Gary? Is he still interested?
I haven't talked with him within the last few months, but he is interested in open space. And then he has a certain limited amount of time that he can put into it. This last year with the COVID and the cutback in the CA budget, we haven't done much activity at all because the staff isn't there, et cetera. So I hope this coming year that we'll be able to put more time in. I'm finished with the housing task force. So I'll talk with Gary and we'll serve as co-chairs.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, that covers all of our committees. Now we have a few other positions where we send representatives to other committees or other organizations. So first is the BWI Roundtable Liaison. The BWI Roundtable is a group that meets to address the issues of the increased noise coming from the flight paths going into and out of BWI Airport since the implementation of NextGen. And Paul Verchinsky has served as that liaison. Paul resigned from our board a couple of months before the end of the year, but he did confirm with Sandy and me that he would accept if nominated for this again. He is interested in continuing to serve. So I would like to nominate Paul to continue to serve as the BWI Roundtable Liaison.
I'll second that.
All right. Are there any other nominees? Okay, all in favor? 500 again. Okay. Next, there are several CA advisory committees. So these are people who we are nominating to represent OMCA and Oakland Mills Village on CA advisory committees. So first is the Senior Advisory Committee. The current representative is Paul Verchinsky. However, after he resigned from the board, he did contact me and say that he'd also be retiring as our Senior Advisory Committee representative. So are there any nominees to take over as our Senior Advisory Committee representative? And if not, we may just have to do a little bit of recruiting since Paul has served in this capacity for the past 7 years or so at least. All right, no nominees for that yet? Okay, we'll table that one and bring it back. In fact, Sandy, I think what we should do is after we've finished going through everything tonight, for any, we usually put out a communication saying what all the nominations are. Let's also just in that communication, solicit anyone who's interested in anything that's vacant. Okay, next up is the Tennis Advisory Committee. Jim Alvey has served on the Tennis Advisory Committee for, I guess, as long as I can remember. Sandy, I don't know, have you been in touch with Jim? Has he expressed interest in continuing?
Him and I haven't heard back, so I'll have to just, he's pretty quick. He must be away or something, but I'll check with him.
Jenny?
Yeah, Jim is very active on that committee. We've done a task force together on pickleball and tennis. So I can't imagine he wouldn't want to serve.
Okay.
Right.
He's very good. He really represents.
So I'll just send him I'll just keep after him.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and nominate Jim. with the provision that he'll get back to us with his acceptance.
I'll second.
Okay, are there any other nominees? Okay, all in favor? 500. Okay. And then finally, we have the Watershed Advisory Committee. Our current representative is Bob Marietta, and his alternate is Phil Engelke. And Sandy, have you been in touch
Yeah,
with
Bob's
Bob?
interested, yeah, and I didn't ask Phil if he wanted to serve as
Or
the,
he's, I'm sure he's happy to do that
Yeah.
as an alternate.
You want to yell downstairs, Lynn?
Yeah, right.
I think Lynn probably told him that he is happy to do it.
All right, well, I will go ahead and nominate Bob Marietta as the representative with Phil as his alternate. Is there
I'll
a second?
that.
All right, Warren seconds. Are there any other nominees? Okay, all in favor? 500 again. Okay, this is something we unfortunately had to suspend last year due to COVID, but there's a proposal to bring it back. There's a proposal to put $1,500 of our budget into a street beautification fund. And I believe that's specifically for cul-de-sacs, because cul-de-sacs are the only thing that residents can maintain. It wouldn't apply to streets with medians, for example.
right.
So that would cover 15 streets at $75 a street.
I move that we approve.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, Warren seconds. Any discussion?
Hmm.
All right, all in favor? 500. Very good. Okay, and since people are getting vaccinated and numbers are declining. Oh, I'm sorry, Ginny, did you have something?
No, I would actually have my hand up for the next topic.
Oh, okay.
Block party.
Yes, there's a proposal to go back to contributing $500 or about $25 a street for 20 streets to neighborhood block parties. Go ahead, Ginny.
Okay, thank you. My concern was if it's a small street, $25 easily cover that, not a problem. And I believe, isn't one of the conditions that they have to purchase whatever it is at our local merchants and provide you with a receipt, Sandy?
Yeah, we haven't done it since LA Mart opened, so when that store was closed, we didn't have that provision, but I don't know, some of the things they buy might be much more expensive in LA Mart because they're like hot dogs aren't at the cost. So I'm not sure how you want to deal with that. And I had been giving like a townhouse wanted to do it, or townhouse community, and they got $150, so, or $50.
That was the point that I was going to raise.
So, but like we didn't say a street with X number of houses got more. I mean, that was hard, but like say Holly Court wanted to do something, we'd give them $50.
Yeah, or an apartment complex.
Yeah.
Yeah, because 25 is.
Yeah, so, but any of the streets, but then there are some streets like Sleeping Dog does it with a few other streets, so I would give them $50 because it's several streets that combine it. So, but I don't know about what you want to do about having to buy it from Oakland Mills, because I know like if they get hamburger buns and hot dogs at LA Mart, they might be paying a lot more than if they went and got it at BJ's. So, $25 isn't a lot to begin with. So as much as we want them to support our stores, I'm not sure for a block party that is going to make a big difference.
Okay, well, my real concern was that if an apartment complex wanted to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Or an HOA.
Yeah.
They need a lot more than 25.
Yeah, so it would be 50 just because there's not a ton of money, but
okay, you took care of it. Okay, thank you.
And we could always suggest, we could say, please consider paying.
Yes, supporting our merchants, yeah.
What if we, because it's so hard to figure out where to draw the line? I mean, what if we just discuss the line? So instead of saying by street or by HOA or by complex, what if we said if it's, a certain number of families or less, it's $25. If it's over that number, it's 50. I don't know, because Like even now, like, where I live, New Leaf Court versus Camelback Lane.
Right, right.
$25 will cover next to nothing for Camelback Lane.
So maybe should we
For
do
New Leaf
like,
Court, that'll be fine.
how about we do like 10 or more houses? I mean, we'll go through it quicker.
Yeah, or I would say units, so that, because that counts condos and apartments and everything.
Yeah. I mean, what number do
Something.
you want as the threshold?
I don't know. I was just trying to think of, should we provide a number so it doesn't put you in the position of having to figure it out as you go. I just don't want to see you in the position of having just given out $50 to 3 groups and now funds are running out and another large group comes and all you have left is 25 or something.
I propose we say 12 units.
Yeah, that's probably
Okay.
about 12 units
25 and more than that.
or less. Yeah.
All right. Let me try to turn this into a motion. I motion that we contribute $500 I motion that we contribute $500 toward block parties, divided as follows: $25 to any parties with fewer than 12 units participating, or $50 for parties with 12 or more units participating.
I would do 12 and under, or 12.
Yeah,
More
12
than-
or less.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me rescind that motion. I motion that we put $500 toward block parties, with parties of 12 units or under getting $25 and parties of greater than 12 units getting $50.
I
I
second.
second.
Okay, any further
Lynn.
discussion? All in favor? All right, great. Thank you. Thank you, Ginny.
Welcome.
Okay. Oh, a board chair report. Yes, Bill.
Yeah, real quick. I think it was excellent on your part, Jonathan, to have the decision made by the board so that Sandy's not put on the spot in that situation. I
Thanks.
think that's excellent.
All right, board chair report. Let's see. I've only been the board chair for a few minutes. Let me think. No, well, first of all, we got a couple of thank yous. Talbot Springs Elementary put out an email on Monday morning announcing their Read Now program, and they credited the generous donation from the Oakland Mills Community Association. So every student from pre-kindergarten through grade 4, because they'll be rising to grade 5, the grade 5 people are moving on to middle school, will get 6 free books at the child's reading level, mailed to the child's address as provided by the family every 2 weeks over the course of the summer. Over the course of the summer, they'll get 6 books, but they'll get them every couple of weeks. So they're always getting something neat and new over the summer. Each book will have 4 discussion questions on the inside cover so that the family can discuss what their children are reading over the summer. They're also going to get a free app that includes the discussion questions in multiple languages for families whose English is not the first language. And at the end of the summer, any students who write their own stories will get a 7th free book with their stories illustrated.
Wow.
That is terrific.
Wonderful, wonderful,
So
Yes.
cool.
wonderful.
Yes. So that was really cool. All they
It
told me
is.
was a summer reading program. I thought they were just going to buy a bunch of books and hand them out, and that was going to be that. Enjoy your summer. But no, they truly have a program going that's going to continue, through the summer with interaction. So I think that's great. The other thing I received was I received a note in the mail from Alan Cosentino. He's the principal at Oakland Mills Middle School. And he wrote a note thanking us for the generous donation. Actually, with the money we donated and with the prices we were able to find by buying in bulk, we were able to give them 25 instead of 20 flat screen TVs. So last week, 25 flat screen, 32-inch flat screen TVs arrived at Oakland Mills Middle. They're already being installed. I only know this because my daughter was in a virtual class last week, and the teacher was like head over heels about this
Oh,
new
wow,
TV she
good.
had in her room. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I couldn't help it. I said to my daughter, did she say how she got it? She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, did she say where it came from? She's like, I don't know. She's just excited that it's there. She showed it. She turned her camera around and showed us this new TV in her room. I'm like, okay. So he did send us a thank you. Over at the high school, Dr. Fink and some of his staff met with grounds to begin planning the outdoor classroom. If you recall, we donated funds that should cover the whole cost of the outdoor classroom. And we've also donated funds toward the associated labyrinth. We're not covering the whole cost, but they got a very generous alumni donation. And it looks like, well, we know that the outdoor classroom is going to happen because of us, and it looks like the labyrinth is well on its way to happening too.
Oh, great.
While they were meeting with grounds, they also talked about the infamous hill and the offer of the watershed stewards. And Dr. Fink emailed back to me and gave me the name of the person to start working with. So there is an actual person in grounds now who's interested and wants to hear from me. So I'm going to reach out to him and introduce him to Megan, and then figure out how we can get something started and, you know, involve our board as well, since it's the gateway to the village center. So I'm hopeful that wasn't just another delay tactic, and this guy actually really does want to talk about getting something started, because the stewards are still offering to, you know, do this at their expense. You know, they even said, just, you know, reiterate with them that they don't have to provide any materials or any labor. So hopefully we will get something moving on that in the not too distant future. Let's see, anything else board chair related? I wasn't the board chair at the time, but I did give the testimony at the HCPSS Board of Education Operating and Capital Budget hearing last week. Once again, I kind of thought with virtual more people would sign up to testify, but it's fewer people lately. So I believe there were only 6 people signed up to testify for this whole thing. One person didn't show. A couple of other people were testifying in support of special education funding. And then the 2 capital budget testimonies were both Oakland Mills related. It was OMCA, and before OMCA, it was Oakland Mills United, so Sam Hahn, who we partner with. So he gave a very good testimony on behalf of the whole cluster. And then I followed him with testimony. Actually, I started with a personal statement saying I support everything he just said. However, officially, I can only speak for the schools within Oakland Mills Village boundaries. And then I talked about the high school and the middle school. So, you know, to the extent the Board of Education heard from anyone that night, they heard from Oakland Mills more than they heard from everyone else. And of course, the same held true for the county council last month. And that was more of an education chair report than a board chair report, I guess, because everything was education related. But are there any other questions for me? Anything I should have covered that I didn't tonight? All right, well then I will send it over to our re-elected Columbia Council representative, Ginny Thomas.
Thank you, Jonathan. Okay. I met with the new CEO, president of Columbia Association Monday. I was impressed that I like the idea. She's a good listener. She's obviously very bright. And it's going to be very interesting working with her. They're working on her schedule, so we make sure that she gets out to every village board and significant stakeholders as soon as possible. So I don't know, Sandy, did you get any calls on that yet?
Janet or Kristen Russell asked us when we meet, so I let her know.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So what I was sharing with her is that I think at the retreat that the board's going to have May 22nd from 1 to 4 o'clock, that we come up with at least 4 or 5 goals that the whole board agrees to, if that's possible. And then we plan what is the goal, how we're going to go about achieving it, what's the timeline, who are the partners that'll be involved in it. Because I think we have to always keep in mind it's not just CA, it's who are the other significant partners, profit, nonprofit, et cetera, that have to be involved for us to achieve it, whatever that goal is. So, and how we're going to wind up getting them involved and participating with us, what role will they play? So that's what I'd like to see the board achieve and narrow it down to 4 or 5. We'll certainly have other things that will come up, budget and other things during the year, but at least pick 5 and let's accomplish them. Now, in terms of some of the things I'd like to see, one is resolve the whole Symphony Woods issue. And the second one is get very involved with the general plan the county's doing, especially any implications for Newtown zoning. Another one that's involved really in both of those is stream erosion. It is a serious problem. Sherry from the CA rep from King's Contrivance and I both are very interested in looking at how we're going about solving that. CA staff had a proposal for what to do about on the soil erosion, stream erosion on the private properties. But then the virus hit, et cetera, and nothing happened. I think we need to really, in my opinion, develop more of a task force that will involve the county, state representatives, the private sector, because sometimes you can work out something where the private sector would actually do the work like they're doing at Jackson Pond and over in Hickory Ridge, because they get certain credits. And then it doesn't cost CA lien payers anything. You supervise the work. CA would supervise the work and make sure it's done right. So that, you know, it's things like that that I think we've got to be looking at. But it is a serious, serious problem. And I know I've been saying this for a couple of years, and we've just got to do something about it. The other is facilities. Look at our facilities and what are we going to do about some of them? Fairway Hills, a golf course, do we need 18 holes? There was, again, a study started on that, but again, because of what happened, we were not able to really have a public hearing on it. The CA board actually didn't receive it. It was with the staff, but I think that needs to get to the point where it's a public hearing. And what is the solution? 9-hole golf course and the rest of the golf course be used for something else? It was built in a very poor location from an environmental point of view, flooding, et cetera. We've already replaced 2 bridges. Those are very, very costly. So we need to make decisions on that. The Haven, the horse farm is another one, 85 acres down at Gorman Road. Well, is that the best use? Are there, I mean, the horse farm does not take 85 acres. So what are some other potential uses for that property? And the public and everybody should be involved in that. Partnerships is something, you know, I feel very strongly about. And I was explaining to her why we've got to avoid duplication. We have to make sure things that the county should be doing, that they do it and not spend CA lien payers money on doing some service or program. And we need to partner with people so that it costs CA less money to provide a really quality service or program or facility. So we've got to really work harder on getting those. We're doing some, we've done, I think, a very good job on the ponds and getting a lot of our ponds taken over by the county. Of course, we had to bring them up to standard, which is very expensive, but it's, you know, it'll be there. They've taken over many of them, and there's just a few left that they will take over. Village financing is an issue that we've talked about, and I shared with her the idea that Jonathan and I talked about, and also the chair of the Owen Brown Village Board, in terms of, is there a win-win for the villages and also for CA in terms of any cash reserves, that a percentage of that be allowed to be kept in the village. Now, I don't think any of us have worked through exactly what that is and how you go about doing it, but it is, I think, an idea worth exploring. Communications, that's overriding everything. We've talked about that before, and I think we finally have some really good people that know how to do that, so that we get the facts out to the residents in a timely fashion. So those are just some of the things that I'm hoping we'll achieve. There's a lot more on the list that other board members have. So it's, can we reach a point with the board where we come up with 4 or 5 and a plan for how we can actually identify those goals and how we'll go about doing it. So that's pretty much my report. Any questions about that? Or if you have any suggestions about other things we should be working on, let me know, please. Or you guys want to get involved in anything, which you usually do, which I appreciate. Bill?
Eugene, just real quick, I love your priorities. They're all key and critical. And I think knowing you, you're going to follow through and make sure they get good consideration, but they are critical. I agree. Keep up the good work.
No, thanks, Bill. And I know, especially on open space, I think you'll be after me, right?
Yes, I'll be watching you. I'll be watching you.
Along with Warren, right?
Yes.
Lynn?
I love the idea of just narrowing it to a few goals that you are going to be able to accomplish in a year. I think that spreading it to trying to do everything at once, it's just too much. But this is doable. It won't be easy, but it can be done.
Yeah, I prefer that approach. I don't particularly like standing committees. I like more ad hoc task forces. But I really want to make sure everybody that's a quote stakeholder is on it, that has a role, so that they're there at the table at the beginning and they become partners, and we're talking to them and not, pulling them in at the end. So that's crucial, I think, also. And then it has an end date, and you either achieve it or you don't. And if you don't, you better find out why you don't. Yeah, thank you.
Good.
Anything else, guys? Or okay, Jonathan.
So Jenny, I just, I don't know what went into the process of basically rebuilding communications at CA, but I wanted to give kudos to that. The only social media I'm on is Facebook. And then of course I'm also on the CA email subscription. And I would say over the past several weeks, the communications have been substantially better than they've been in a long time. Not only informative, but I'm also just, kind of humorous and entertaining, like things you actually want to read, rather than just, dry bad news, we want more of your money type stuff that a lot of people accuse CA of doing. So whatever your role was in rebuilding the communications program and finding the right staff, and, whatever they're doing, kudos to everyone.
Well, I want to thank you. And I know this always sounds like an excuse, and I hate hearing it, but we really wanted to see changes, but we didn't have, one, the correct personnel, and then we didn't have any money. So you can't hire people without money. Once we got some funding, that was the top priority. And I think Tim and Danica are just outstanding people. And we always stress, it's tell people the facts. They may not like it, but they have a right to that information. Right, David? Wherever he is down there. So thank you very much. It's kind of sad for about a year and a half. That was driving me nuts too. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah. Very good.
All right, Sandy, manager's report.
Yeah, and
Oh,
Danica.
sorry, did you have something for?
No, we work the most with Danica, and she's great. She's got such enthusiasm, and she's really professional at what she does. So that's great. Today I advertised, Carrie is gonna assume the role of what Tom used to do, which is letters of compliance. So we have a job opening for the covenant advisor. I put it out on Facebook today and see if we get any grabs, and see where else it's good to advertise that kind of job. 3 villages right now are looking for covenant advisors. So if they hire and have other good resumes, we'll all share that too. We have been getting today, for example, I got 4 requests for letters of compliance. Houses are on the market. They're selling in a day and closing in like 3 weeks. So actually, it's right now Karina and me mostly, and hopefully Carrie, all hands on deck. I mean, we put everything else aside. I went out to 4 houses today. I have 4 houses tomorrow to take the pictures, send them to Karina. She's getting the letters together because with like a 3-week turnaround time, it's crazy that, and we put it in our e-news and it's on our website. Please, if you're thinking of selling, give us enough time. And I might just send out a separate email because people are not even contacting us till the house has been sold. So we want people to, if it's even a thought that you might put it on the market in a month or two, they need to just have us do that compliance because just the turnaround time is crazy. And then, of course, no one's happy because they all think that their houses are compliant. And pretty much 99% of them, even the most beautiful house, is not compliant. And then it's our fault. So, we have to be very, a lot of hand holding and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So it's all hands on deck right now with that. Because we want the people leaving to be happy and we want the new homeowners to not have any hitches when they go to close on their house. I heard from our Corporal Lopez, who had been on a different assignment, but then he called to tell me that at the end of May, he's been assigned to the North Laurel community. He will be leaving Oakland Mills, which is sad. We get, these great officers, and then they're so good that they need him in another trouble spot. So that's too bad. There's someone, I don't know the person who's replacing him. I'm not sure if he was new. I think he might be new to the force here. He's from Baltimore City, but they're going to attend our first meeting in June. Be virtual, I'm pretty sure, to introduce the new person who will be there and meet everyone. And Rena, if I ever have a meeting where we can just meet with the new person, absolutely, I want him to
Okay.
meet you.
Okay.
So, Corporal Lopez, he's been really, really good to work with, a really nice guy. And
Yeah.
I think we'll miss him. I know we'll miss him. And lastly, Brigitta's here and she has a lot going on. So I wanted her to give an update on everything that she's been doing. So hello.
Hello, everyone. Congratulations, everybody on the board. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Brigitta. I'm the Events and Facility Coordinator. So yeah, as you probably are aware, because COVID restrictions are loosening just somewhat, people have very excitedly been sending email upon email, looking to host their event. We have, I would say, probably 50-50 for 2021 and 2022, some looking into 2023. They do think I have a magic 8 ball to know exactly when we're going to be at full capacity and when we don't have to wear masks. And I just very nicely tell them that we followed the Howard County Health Department guidelines, and that's all that we can do. But yeah, so I would say that we definitely will have at least 5 to 10 more rentals on the books, which is very nice. Some of them right around 50, some of them going up to 100. So we had one on the 1st of May. It was our first one since the new year, and everything went well. Mark worked it. He said everything was fine. We had all of the COVID restrictions in place. They all have to sign a COVID contract addendum that is taken right from the health department. And most people are fine with it. A lot of the people who were at the May 1st event, the caterer, the photographer, it was all of their first event with COVID. So they were all kind of, I told them all we should get together and have feedback so we know, from each different person's perspective, how to proceed and what might be pros and cons to everything. And then on the other side with events, if you haven't heard, we're having our plant sale on May 22nd. We hope that people will come. Sandy and I have somewhat discussed protocol in place for COVID, but we are going to be getting together in the next few days to finalize that. And this year we'll be adding, I'm gonna get the name wrong because I'm drawing a blank, Howard County Eco Works. They'll have a table there as well as offering some native plants for sale. I met with the gentleman a couple weeks ago over Zoom, and so we're proceeding with that. So that's kind of a nice addition to have. And if we can, we're certainly going to move some of the plants outside into the courtyard. I'm going to get there bright and early, and hopefully it will be a nice day to kind of give people a little more room and not feel like they have to be inside. And then on June 5th, we have the shredding truck as well as vin etching. So we're getting back with events, which is exciting and cautious all at the same time. So looking forward to it.
And 2 pool parties.
Oh, yes, in August, 2 pool parties as well at 2 different pools. So that's exciting. That's the first as well for this year. So
Thank you. And thank Brigida because she's been pretty busy with our rentals. And also we had SAT, the AP testing that we have, the high school kids. There weren't a lot of kids, but she and Mark Tolson carried the load of going in early and being there while the kids were testing. I guess there's another day or 2 this week. So thank you. And congratulations to Brigida, whose son just graduated college.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah, congratulations.
That was
thank you.
good.
So he's looking for a job. He's an illustrator.
I sent everyone forms today. Ginny, you don't need to sign them, but you were probably part of the list. So if you could sign it, my dog wants you to sign the forms. Just sign it at the bottom, one of the forms. I think the second one I sent, there's more ability to put your name and date, but the other one you can just sign at the bottom and it comes through with your name and date. So just send those back to me when you can. And that's it for me.
Sandy, did you want to mention the contact from the county about the priorities? I know you're going to put it on a future
Well,
agenda.
yeah,
But
I'm gonna, I wrote myself a note on at our next meeting, the county, her name's Megan Williams and Safa Hira asked us to come up with our priority list again. And I kind of chuckled when I sent it to Jonathan and I said, it seems like we've spent more time creating our lists than ever having much done with what's on our lists. And you might all think the same. So I will be resending the last few years of lists that we've sent them and their responses. And yet again, we are to create another list, and maybe it'll be an easy thing because we will just say, please, see the attached. So that'll be on May 25th on our agenda, no speakers or anything, but just get ready for that email. I'll be sending you we have 2 or 3 years of priority lists. And so that's what I have to say about that, Jonathan.
all right. Thanks, Sandy.
Uh-huh.
I just like getting you fired up about it.
Yeah, it's like, our priority is that you look at our priority.
Yeah. Do something with them. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I actually don't even understand what they're asking for at this point. Yeah.
Well, no, and actually one suggestion to get a little bit more serious, Sandy, one suggestion I was going to have was when you send that to us, obviously we'll see what the past board's priorities were. But I mean, the immediate past board, last year's board, through testimony and letters actually raised several things, some of which may already be on that list, but we might want to look back and, see what things we've raised recently, like the Stevens Forest streetscape is something we keep talking about, but now we've added the safety
Oh, I
component
want to
to
say
it.
something about that.
Okay, so so that's an example of one. Obviously, the deferred maintenance in the schools is another one that we might have had on a past list, but we've been talking about that a lot in the past year. So,
Right.
I would also encourage everyone over the next couple of weeks just to think about things you're seeing and hearing around Oakland Mills. Check that against the list of things we've already raised that Sandy's going to send to see if there's anything we want to either add to the list or reprioritize, because we can also move things up and down. I think they do it by like short-term, medium-term, long-term, so we can move things around and, who knows, maybe if we submit it differently for the 5th time, they'll do something with it.
Mm-hmm. I did get a letter back from Chris Jagarapu from the highways. about our letter about the Stevens Forest safety issues from Santiago to Whiteacre. And basically, he talked about the funds that were spent on the Whiteacre and that there currently aren't funds for other streetscape projects. However, he would look at the safety issues. He said they will be restriping Stevens Forest Road, but that he would have his group team look at the safety issues that we pointed out to see if there were other safety measures that needed to be put in place. And I sent that to Warren, so I'll probably ask you, Warren, to take the lead on that as we go forward.
Okay, I
Right?
read it, yes.
Yeah.
Jenny?
Yeah, the only thing I'm trying to figure out is they're having hearings on the budget already. So the timing is interesting. It's like a little late.
Well, it was in our testimony to the county executive, the whole streetscape thing.
No, I don't mean that one. I mean, in terms of this list, developing the list.
Oh, right. It's for next year.
They're hearing the budget right now.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's the other strange thing about this list. They basically come back every year and they ask for this list late in the budget season, and it really doesn't seem to be connected to the budget cycle. So it's honestly, I don't know what purpose it serves.
Right.
mhm.
Maybe they don't either.
But at least it gives us another way of being on the record. So if someone comes back and says, why didn't you tell us about this? We can say we did in 3 different places.
Mhm.
You have to do it. It's just, I'm just curious as
Yeah.
to, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's very strange, but we'll keep doing it. What's the definition of insanity? No.
Don't expect another result. Right.
All right, committee reports. Lynn, do we have anything architecture?
No, nothing tonight.
Can I ask you a question? Is there anything on Airbnbs in our architectural guidelines? Like, are they allowed, not allowed, or?
I think it's a county thing. I mean,
Yeah, and an Airbnb, I mean, I guess they could be considered an in-home business, but I know that at the last sort of all Columbia meeting of covenant advisors and architecture chairs and so forth, there was a lot of questions about it. I think Hickory Ridge has a problem with Airbnbs, but we don't have anything in our covenants. However, if somebody does have a problem, if a neighbor has a problem with trash in the streets and that sort of thing, I think there's a way to get action on that.
So they should contact property concerns on it.
well, I guess we'd probably look at it as an in-home business, but Karina would reach out to the other covenant advisors too, because they do, there has been emails about that in other villages.
Okay, thank you.
But give her a chance. We're doing too many letters of compliance right now. Yeah, I mean, she'd figure out with the other villages, and it could be an in-home business for all we know.
Well, it would be an in-home business, but we don't have anything specifically about Airbnbs.
I mean, if we really have that many people wanting to vacation in Oakland Mills, maybe we should go for a tourism tax and it can pay for the streetscape.
Yeah, I can't figure out where the market is for Airbnbs, and I guess people who are here short term, and could be cheaper than hotels, or you have kids graduating, or you have an event at the other barn, and people would stay.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a curiosity.
It's a way to get around renting your rooms out without a Howard County rental license.
Could be.
Okay. Anything else from any of our other brand new committee chairs, most of whom are the same as our old committee
So why
chairs?
don't we say that every week when you get the agenda on a Tuesday, if you want to give a committee report, let me know so that for that meeting you can be added under committee. I mean, I always put Lynn because usually there's something that she's going to want to say, but you know, if you want to get, and you don't have to give a report, but if any of you do, that's the part of the agenda where it would be good. And it's the Tuesday when you get the draft agenda to let me know, copy Jonathan too, that you want to be added as a committee report.
Looks like the new guy wants to say something.
I do. After many years, we've been asking for 4 different curb cuts to be added into Oakland Mills, and 3 of those paths are now ADA compliant.
Oh,
That
good. Where
happened
are
like
they?
this week.
I saw one.
Thunderhill, Log Chain, and Farewell.
Oh, great.
And we wanted Blue Coat, and they promised they have promised, I did a Telhoco request, and they did say that they would do that at some point, but they needed funding. Same,
Same old story.
the same old story, exactly.
Mhm.
So,
Well, good. Thank you.
Yeah, I went by the one on Farewell and it just, it kind of jumped right out at me. I don't know, for some reason it stands out, which I guess is a good thing.
no, it's great.
All right. Thanks, Warren. All right. If there's nothing else from the committees, then we are on to the board bulletin board. So, Amy, anything from the office operations? All right, Sandy?
No.
No? Okay, Ginny? Nothing? All right. Let's see who's next in my view. Rena? Okay, Lynn?
Just looking forward to another year.
Yes. And Warren?
I'm excited to be on this great board. Looking forward to
good.
the year.
Good.
All right, Bill?
Yes, 2 success stories here. Tomorrow, I do a presentation for the Housing Affordability Coalition. And this is a group of a lot of different people involved in housing in the county. And as a matter of fact, I was told that it was created in part because of work from the Oakland Mills Housing Committee. And in the presentation, we'll talk about the Housing Opportunities Master Plan, coalition priorities, okay? These are from the coalition. More affordable units, cross-county distribution and deconcentration, housing for low-income households, and new ongoing funding sources. And in the presentation, my focus will be the issue of the concentration of apartment complexes in the county, and the hand in hand goes with that, the farm rates in the schools. And the focus would be elementary schools. We'll also do middle and high, but elementary, looking at the elementary schools that have very low farm rates have no apartment complexes. Those with high farm rates have apartment complexes. So there's a correlation that they want me to bring out. I then get into the specific example of Oakland Mills. I have a map and drawing of our village center area and all the apartment complexes and the condos there. And then I show how those elementary school, how the apartments are separated into the 3 elementary schools, Talbot Springs, Thunderhill, and Stevens Forest, as creative redistricting. And then I show the Talbot Springs 3 non-contiguous areas that comprise their total attendance area boundaries. And we make the point that even with very creative redistricting, you can only somewhat manage the concentration of farm rates. And that what we really need to do to deconcentrate farm rates is deconcentrate apartments. And that means zoning is a major issue. So that's the gist of the presentation. And I was thrilled that I was asked to give it. Peter Engel, who is the Executive Director of the Housing Commission, will be part of that panel, which will, he'll do some maps that show distribution of apartment complexes in the county, et cetera. So I thought it was fantastic that they want to dive headlong into that issue because it's a big one. And then the second thing is that the Housing Opportunities Master Plan has been completed. It will be on the Housing and Community Development website Monday. Tuesday at 11 o'clock, Calvin is holding a press conference over on Patuxent Woods Drive, where we have the Association of Community Services. And I'll be there. I'm not sure whether I'm going to be asked to speak or not. I've been told be on standby, you might be. And I said, well, let me know and in advance and let me know what your topics, how you want me to cover it. But that master plan has been completed. I haven't seen the final version, okay? So I can't talk to specifics. It is extremely comprehensive, and we will manage it so that it will be a very, very useful tool in the county. I have been asked and volunteered to serve on a housing opportunities implementation advisory committee. Right now, we'll probably meet once a month. I volunteered if they want me again to be co-chair, and I think that will all happen, just personal opinion. So after about 15, 16 months of a lot of hard work, we have reached the completion, and I'm very happy with the final product. And that's bulletin board for me.
Great job.
Congratulations.
Great, congratulations.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Excellent, excellent.
Thanks.
I guess that comes to me. So I have something kind of related, because I've been serving on the Racial Equity Task Force, which is advisory to the County Council, and specifically I'm on the Land Use and Housing subgroup. And our subgroup broke further into subgroups. So I was in a 3-person subgroup with Lynn's husband Phil, and actually a high school student from I believe Marriott's Ridge, who's quite impressive. And the school she's applying to are impressive too, and I have a feeling she will get in. But if you go to the Racial Equity Task Force page on the Howard County website, and there was actually a hearing on all the recommendations last week. The first recommendation under zoning and affordable housing is the one that our subgroup worked on. So Phil and I worked on this. And this actually deals with opening up more housing opportunities in the western part of the county where the zoning is very exclusionary. So it reads, current zoning west of the public water service area excludes everything but low levels of residential housing, low meaning low density. This limits opportunities to acquire housing in the county and limits opportunities to build affordable housing for anyone who wants to live anywhere in Howard County. To ensure equity, we propose introducing zoning exceptions that would allow for heavier residential density within a to be determined radius of an existing or planned public or commercial infrastructure development. For example, such residential development could be allowed around shopping centers, office parks, schools, and libraries. This would allow the rural nature of Western Howard County to be retained, while simultaneously providing more affordable housing opportunities convenient to other amenities throughout the county. So that's sort of the attempt to, again, diversify, expand the availability of more affordable housing throughout the county, while, still retaining that protect the rural west nature. So it's kind of very related, Ginny, to one of the things you said about, you have the little towns out there and they have their little centers and they have schools and stuff. Well, why not have more density around that? Because people will be near, the facilities they rely on for schools and jobs and all that fun stuff. And I felt especially strongly about the public works projects, because to me, if the county is investing, tens or hundreds of $millions in, for example, school buildings, well, then let people live around the school buildings. We have this terrible overcrowding problem in the east. We have, schools that are falling apart. And we have these places out west where the population density is so low that they're not full. So, let's do something about it. So that's one of the recommendations. Another recommendation coming out of another group. So I didn't play a role in writing this, but I was kind of insistent that even though we were land use and housing and there is an education subgroup, that we consider education, because education in Howard County seems to be what drives housing, or vice versa. So another group came up with another recommendation that would eliminate adequate public facilities ordinance requirements for affordable housing in school areas that have below average farms rates. And there are several other things involved in that. So if you want to take a look at the whole thing, and again, I just went through a couple of land use and housing recommendations, but there are other subgroups around, education and
Legislation.
legislation. Thank you. basically the narrative of Howard County, safety and security, I believe. I forget exactly what, personal and public safety. So there's a lot out there. It's a pretty heavy document. There's a lot to it. You know, some things I support, some things I think are written kind of broad in general, and they can be interpreted in different ways. But the thing to keep in mind is we are advisory to the county, so we couldn't get too specific with policy. We're trying to give the council some suggestions to where they might take policy. So that's what I had as sort of a tangentially related to what we do on the board, but not really, you know, they're representing the board, just they're representing me and whatever I bring to Howard County. And it seems to be lining up well with what Bill is doing. So, you know, once again, Oakland Mills seems well represented in these county efforts. So I think we should you know, be thankful that we're offered these opportunities and that we're speaking up, and hopefully we will see some change for the better throughout Howard County as a result of this stuff, because, you know, we've certainly seen how things can go the wrong way. So hopefully we can help things go the right way. Bill, are you agreeing or raising a hand?
Both up. Just wanted to say that the recommendations that you just listed, they're also in the Housing Opportunities Master Plan. So I feel that these will be things that will get done.
Yes. I certainly hope so. All right. And other than that, I think we're done. Thank you all very much for choosing to serve. I'm looking forward to a great year.
You're 2 minutes under.
And we are adjourned.
I'm
Ha
I'm all for good behavior.
Exactly.
Thank you all.
Good
Thank
night,
you.
everyone.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Okay.
That was good.
Yep.
Stop recording.